commercial.
Welcome back to another episode of the Hobby Chop Podcast, the podcast for the people. We went from the trio to the dynamic duo tonight. Tyler is traveling, so you just have me, Big Ken, and we got Zip in the house. Zip, what's going on?
The dual downtown.
Hey, oh yeah, the dual downtown.
The dual downtown of Ken and Zip. What's up, Ken?
How you doing?
I'm good. I actually really quick, I want to let you know I'm now I'm going to Causeway Saturday.
Oh, good.
And yeah, because I had
I
plans with the family. Table space, you know, I'm gonna give someone a coffee and I'm just gonna hang around and buy in the background. So that's what I'll do. But no, I the family plans I thought they were all day things. They're like evening, late night thing. So there's other. It's a bit where we have parent friends now. So I'm hanging out with other parent friends, and basically it sounds like everyone's getting babysitters, including us, to go do something. So
wow.
New experience.
Yeah. And it's an added expense for that evening out. Those babysitters aren't cheap anymore.
Oh, they sure are when it's Nana and Papa. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's perfect.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Very fortunate and very lucky for that. Yeah.
So your Knicks got, just beat up last night.
I wish you said my Knicks. No,
I mean your Celtics.
They'll never be my Knicks. First off,
your Celtics got beat up by the Knicks last night.
And how many 3-pointers did the Celtics miss?
They missed 15 3-pointers, and if they only hit
3, they missed 45 3-pointers.
You know what? This is the fourth time I'm hearing this today.
Yeah.
You think I would know it by heart?
Yeah, they missed 45 3-pointers. Okay, and I'm not too concerned about the Knicks. So.
And I know before we were coming on, I was razzing you, and you're like, I'm like, hey, I told you, the Knicks and Timberwolves, and you're like, man, this guy doesn't know anything. And what did I say? I said, it's the guy who doesn't know anything, who just throws a couple of picks in that has a better shot at winning than the guy who is, his heart is betting on the team that he loves versus somebody who has no meat in the game, no meat in this sandwich.
Yeah. I actually, before we get into anything, this just popped up into my head. So would you rather, and this is tough because your favorite sports team overall is the Chiefs, right? Like of any, right? Like not even close. Like for me, it's the Celtics. Like,
yeah. Well, it's my top team. Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather have like a PC card worth the amount of a Super Bowl ticket or go to the Super Bowl to watch the Chiefs play?
I would want a card, the price of this. I would rather have a card.
Over being at the event?
Yep. I mean, that card I could hold, I can keep on the wall, and I could look at it 365 days a year, right? I go to that event one time, and I've done this. These events, I've done things like this. These events are like a wedding. You think in your mind, you're all into it. You're and it's an experience, I know, and it's something, it's like bucket list stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But then at the end of the day, you come home and you're like, wow, that was a lot of money. All the things I probably could have done with that. But you have the memory and the pictures and maybe some souvenirs and the ticket and things like that. But, at the end of the day, for me, I would rather have a card equal to.
Is that like logistics maybe too? Because so I'm trying to equate it of like, would I rather have. And it's also different because that's one event. I'm like thinking, would I rather have a really nice Jason Tatum card or go to a finals game with Celtics or like, I don't know. It was just something that popped into my head.
But I think to myself, with you, how long would you own that? How long would you keep that Jason Tatum card?
Well, right? That's the thing. Whenever I get Tatum cards, it like I hate selling them. And there's a few Jason Tatum cards that if I were to get, I'd keep. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's not because of value. It's because of like, I just love I'm a green teamer. You know what I'm saying? Like if I could get a Celtics card that was like a color match with the green, like that's something I wouldn't want to get rid of. Like it just, but like it's not like, I don't know. The value is not there for me. It's kind of like the aesthetic of it. And I tried to get these lime green optics like a few months ago, and I offered like 150% last comp, and basically people just told me to shove it. So here we are. So that's why
it had nothing to do with the card.
that's why people that's why having a PC is difficult, I guess, because the cards you want, people don't want to sell at 150% what the last sale was. So what do you do there? I don't know.
Well, the basketball playoffs are in full swing right now.
So don't buy them.
Well, this is my question to you. Like, would there be any player right now, and you're watching, and I don't know if you just watch your Celtics or you watch all the games. I mean, I know, football, I watch all the games. Hockey, I watch all the games, right? So I don't know basketball if it's the same thing. Like, even though you're watching your Celtics, but you want to see what all the other teams are doing too. And if you are that guy and you're watching this right now, is there any player you would say to yourself, you know what? When I'm at the Causeway show this weekend, if I can find X player, I could get that, and I bet you I could flip it a week or two from now and make some money on it, because I know this player is playing well, and their market is just going to their value is probably going to keep popping up.
Yeah.
And this goes to people at home. You answered the question, but people who are listening too, drop a comment. I mean, if you're watching the basketball playoffs and you think there's a player there, drop a comment. Tell me who you think would be that person.
That's actually a great question, Ken, because I would say, so the 3 series, I mean, we're recording, Tuesday night. I think that the Cavs and Pacers have just started, but like there have been 3 upsets to start this round. Okay. Round 2. There's been the Nuggets beat the Thunder for game 1. The Knicks beat the Celtics, as we just talked about, and I have to mention again. And then the Pacers beat the Cavs. So like there's 3 upsets to start. So whatever that means, I don't know. But the 2 guys that I'm like, okay, who could make some serious ground right now? It's Anthony Edwards, okay, and it's Tyrese Halliburton. Those are the 2 guys that I see, like, if the Pacers can pull off like the crazy upset of the Cavs, which I don't know, I think they could. His stuff will go nuts. He's been playing unbelievable, and he literally can do everything. And then Anthony Edwards, like, he's just so captivating. And then so like if Anthony Edwards knocks off the Warriors, I don't know how many people can say they knocked off LeBron and then knocked off Curry in back-to-back rounds. That's like crazy. I know they're older in their career and all that, but like it's still ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know what you've thought about.
I think the same way with Anthony Edwards, and I'm going to tell you, I don't watch basketball, and I think you remember my little story that I watched that series. I think it was Netflix, The Starting 5.
Yeah.
And Anthony Edwards is on there, and absolutely love this guy, right? Okay. Just from watching this series, right? I became captivated with him.
Yeah.
And I'm not at the point where I'll sit and watch an NBA basketball game, but every morning I go on ESPN and after he plays, and I watch the highlights of everything he does on there. And it's one player I'm watching. I'm watching the highlights of the game, but I have my eye on that one player.
So what would it take for you to watch an Anthony Edwards game?
It probably wouldn't take much. I mean, it probably almost at this point, if they start doing,
I mean, they're playing the Warriors. It's a pretty good series to watch.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to tune in to at least 1 or 2 games in this.
Okay. Yeah. And then another thing we could mention too is Steph Curry. If he somehow wins another championship, he gets put in a really like prestigious like category of basketball royalty. He has 5 rings, okay? And he's won throughout his career. And he changed the game of basketball. And he might be like the most just like likable person, player in the league, truthfully. Like, and he's the most relatable, I think, to like the average Joe, because he's like, I mean, he's like 6 foot tall, but he doesn't look 6 foot tall when you're out there with the Giants. He looks like a normal person, but realistically, he's tall, right? Like,
he's tall to people like us.
Right. So it's just like, he's like, wow, that's like, that's a human. He's not Wemby. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember I watched Wemby when he played against the Celtics, and he made Porzingis, who's a 7-footer, look like a normal person from like, I was like, it was weird. But Curry, he looks like a normal person, and his game is mainly shooting, right? Like, I don't think that's really arguable at all. So a lot of people like look to him as like things that they could do, even though no one could shoot like him. But he has that relatability. And then like, if he goes on and wins another one, like realistically, you could probably argue he's as good as anyone. Like, you could probably make that argument. So he's someone, and also if you buy his stuff, like he's safe too. He's as safe as anyone there is, I think. So like for example,
but when you say he's safe, I understand safe, but it's not. Is it a guy like his market is? I think his market's at a point now. If I was to buy some of his cards this weekend, and then in a few weeks, if they win this series and move on, it's not like it's going to probably be, a good flip, right? It'll probably be. Isn't his market as such that the cards are probably not going to jump up that much?
So here's the difference. Like, to get one of his like notable cards, first off, you're gonna have to spend a lot of money, right? You're gonna have to spend a good chunk of change, and with the win, it will increase. So I don't know percentage wise the sale, but like dollar amount, it could be more rather than percentage amount, if that makes sense. So it just depends how you look at it. But it's also like if you buy one of his cards and then they lose to Anthony Edwards in like 6 or 7 games, like, it's not like that.
And you say, man, I should have bought that Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but it's not like that card's gonna bottom out and you're gonna be, lose your shirt on. I don't think. Like, and if it did, you could just hold it till next year and they're back at the playoffs. Like, it's just it's interesting. I've really enjoyed. I've tried to watch as much as the basketball playoffs as I can. So, but those are the guys that kind of jump out to me.
Yeah. All right. And if you're listening, you've got somebody else in mind, let us know what you think. Drop some comments. So we just had the NFL draft, right? You and I, we're in a dynasty league. We're drafting now, and we've been talking about players. And one of the things that have come up is, looking forward to next year, to the cards that are going to come out, these players that were just drafted. Do we think that? And right now, it's funny because we didn't see that much of a frenzy in the draft as you usually do, all these big trades and people moving up. But I see it more. I'm seeing it more now from these dynasty team owners, like everybody wanting to trade. And I'm thinking to myself, the players aren't that good. I'm willing to trade off. Yeah. I'm willing to trade off my picks for this year for higher picks next year, because and I do think that there's probably, a handful of, that we know decent players coming out of this draft. But when we look forward to next year in the card market, are these guys going to be, drive the market as far as people are going to be chasing these cards and the value is going to be there like they are this year, say what all these quarterbacks are pulling? Because we really only have 3-4 quarterbacks, but I don't know how many people are going to be chasing, anyone past like, Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders. So what, just thoughts on the cards themselves? Who do you think will be, hobby worthy to be chasing and to be holding, to be prospecting on as we move into next year?
Well, obviously Cam Ward's the number 1 overall pick. So he's going to have demand. He's going to have demand unless he just falls completely on his face. And even then, it will have some demand with the draft stock and the position, quarterback. Dart is really interesting because he's probably not going to play them in the first year, I would assume, because they have Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I think they have them both,
which is perfect. I think that's the best thing.
It's good for his development, especially when a lot of the main concerns were he was in this Lane Kiffin offense that was a single read and just use your arm talent when you see the guy. Don't even think, right? So, like, I actually think as a prospect, Dart maybe this probably isn't wild. He's in a better situation even than Cam Ward is, I would say, for a prospect to develop. No, and like he has pros. Like don't forget, Russell Wilson was a perennial Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he's been to multiple. Like he's not a slouch, and he's a professional, and he knows how to do it. Is he a walking meme at times? Sure. But like he also is someone that could probably make a good impression on a rookie, and someone could probably learn from how they carry their business and do their work, right? And I think that's really good for him, for Jackson Dart. So it's almost, and I'm not sure, Ken, do you know, are they both on 1-year deals? Pretty sure they are. Wilson and Jameis.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So most likely Dart's the guy next, the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually gets that time to develop, which a lot of people, Mahomes got the year to develop. And by no means am I just sitting here to say Dart is Mahomes. That's not what I'm saying. And Tom Brady's been on record saying that he doesn't think rookie quarterbacks should start right away. So, like, you have, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Like, there's a lot of guys that have had to wait, and it's been a blessing for them. So, not to just be fixated on Jackson Dart right now, but I think he has a really good situation. And after this year, he's going to have, he should have, some okay weapons around him with neighbors. Maybe Scadaboo's all right. I don't know. But I feel like I'm rambling on way too much about Jackson Dart.
Yeah. And let me ask you a question. So he has a path. You're showing a path for him. So is a guy, and we know Ward is, probably going to be more of a, a starter this year, with Tennessee.
I sure hope so.
Huh?
I said I sure hope he's starting.
Yeah. So we in the hobby love to. I shouldn't say we. I'm going to say me and a lot of people in the hobby like the prospect. When I look around this office and I see, all the Hendon Hooker cards, and I see the Joe Milton cards and things like that. We like to try to swing for the fences on some of these things. And are any of these guys any more than that right now?
Right now, okay, probably not the guy you're going to expect to hear from me, but Aaron Rodgers has not signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? So you have a national champion in Will Howard, who was picked in the 5th or 6th round, whose competition is Mason Rudolph. This is what we're talking about with this draft.
And they've loaded that team up with so many weapons. They just need somebody to throw the ball to them.
If Will Howard steps into that position, is he not in an amazing spot?
Yeah.
And they took Caleb Johnson, right?
Running back, yeah.
Running back, yeah. They have Caleb Johnson, and they have Metcalf, Pickens, Freiermuth. They're loaded. They just need someone to throw the ball.
So
And
is
it's,
that who we should be prospecting on?
I don't know, because it's also like, does Tomlin just say, "Hey, we're going to start Mason Rudolph"? He could. Or does Rodgers, come out of an ayahuasca trip and say, "I'm a Steeler now," and then it's all for naught, right? Like I don't know. Like but that's another situation that I look at, like, because if we're just talking quarterbacks, a lot of other than Dart, who's definitely not starting right away, and Ward, like, they're all kind of long shots, no?
They are. Yeah, I mean, they are. I mean, and that's why I'm bringing this up. And then, like, I'm thinking more to next year already. And I'm almost thinking like, wow, is this going to be like 2022? I get to sit back and relax a little bit from ripping all the wax and getting in the breaks and all that, because there's really nobody should be chasing, or is there going to be some kind of news along the way? And it's like, oh, okay, here we go again. We're gonna have to jump on this wagon and that wagon. And if there really isn't any news and there really isn't anybody to chase, right? The thing in the back of my mind is Tops with licensing. Now, all these rookie quarterbacks this year, they're going to be a second year card, but now they're going to be licensed in, their pro uniform. And are we as the hobby going to say, well, there's nothing to look over, nothing to see, or nothing to chase over there, so here, this is what we're all going to be? Are we just going to be looking for something to chase after next year?
Well, with them all being long shots, it'd be tough to say if in their second year if they're all even in that product, right? Like, who's to say these guys even make the checklist for that product as backups? Honestly, if they're not rookies. Mm-hmm. So another guy.
Well, I'm talking about the second year. I'm talking about the quarterbacks this year. Like the Jaden Daniels and all that they're going to be a second year next year in that Tops product.
I mean, there could be, but then it also, I think what's bigger than just that class and those second year guys is more, if they're licensed, people are looking at like all the stars, like main parallels. So all the golds out of 50s, all the blacks out of 10, reds out of 5, like.
So if there's nobody to chase in the new rookie class, those may be chased and purchased, and that market may be driving up even higher.
Yeah. So that
stuff.
What I would say is, for people who are mainly football and basketball collectors, what I would do if I didn't already know is I would get really familiar of the parallel hierarchy within Topps, Chrome, and Bowman, because all these weird parallels that Panini puts out and they somehow hold value. In Topps Chrome, it's the true colors that really hold value, and then the other things they carry value. Don't get me wrong, but like, for instance, you'll see a true blue that's serial numbered out of 150 often sell higher than a true green out of 99, because the true blue, it's just something with the Topps Chrome or Bowman Chrome products that are more desirable. So like, I think that's going to be really important, is people understanding that. Mm-hmm. And you will see people absolutely take baths on things until they understand that hierarchy. My opinion. I could be totally wrong. Maybe things change.
No, it's interesting you should say that, because I think to myself too. I mean, I know from Panini, the lower the numbered card, the higher the value.
Yep.
And what you're saying, what Topps, that's a little bit different. And I remember that with baseball. When I first came back on the hobby,
that's exactly where I'm coming from.
I started with baseball, and I could never figure out why the red to 5, wasn't, massively more expensive than a green to 99 or a blue to 150 or something like that. Yeah.
And it also comes down to like true versus wave, like, or shimmer. Like, the true color, the solid color parallel is gonna always, like, what I like,
because you would think, being from Panini, not to cut you off, like the green shimmer is like, oh, That's got to be so much better than that just plain green one over there, right? But it's not. It's the opposite.
Yeah. So like just talking on like baseball and how those cards, equate, like it's so simple and it makes so much sense that I wish everything was like this. Like, for example, the best way I could put it is like, let's talk orange parallel out of 25 versus gold parallel out of 50. I think this is the easiest just to like see how it works. If an orange shimmer card sells, it's like it's going to be almost spot on with the price of what a true gold is, right? But a true orange is going to be significantly more than a true gold a lot of times. So it's just really interesting how that works. And I expect that to happen with basketball and football, but maybe it doesn't because of all the – then again, you're not going to have the hardcore Bowman Chrome people maybe in basketball and football. But if you do, what you're going to see is those prices happen due to the demand for those true colors. Like people are going to go nuts probably for the first Patrick Mahomes true red color match. People are going to lose their minds. Or guess what? It's Patrick Mahomes' first superfractor licensed. Like that's going to be insane. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that stuff is going to matter to all the people who didn't have it. I don't know any. I don't know off the top of my head any active players in the NFL who had licensed Topps Chrome cards. Because you have some of those, like for basketball, you have some of those. Mm-hmm. So, and then for basketball, you're gonna have all the stars that we kind of just talked about, like Jokic, SGA, Ant-Man, Tatum. They haven't had Topps licensed cards. Like those cards are gonna matter, I think, and I think it's something to be aware of. Yeah.
Yeah. And before we move on, if you had to pick from this year's draft one player, a dark horse that you think may surprise us.
That may surprise us. I mean, kind of goes to situation, and I don't know how much of it probably still counts as a dark horse, but Tyler's guy, Tyler Shug, like Derek Carr is basically his injury, like it's almost like presumed he's not going to play, right? So, or he's not going to start, and then it's basically this guy versus Spencer Rattler, and I think Shug was a second round pick, right?
Yeah, was he second? Yeah, second.
So that's pretty good draft capital. Yeah. So he could be someone who steps in and he gets a shot. I mean, he has Olave. I'm not going to sit here. He has Kamara. Yeah, they have some guy. Like I don't know. That could be a guy maybe as a dark horse. So I feel like before we move on, we should probably mention though, like people who are like not a dark horse at all, but someone who could do something pretty special, and it's obvious, I think, is Travis Hunter. Because, like, you've never really had this sort of player of offense and defense. I mean, and I hate even saying this, but, like, the only comp in the respect of playing the positions is, like, Ohtani, who pitches and hits. So he's playing offense and defense. Like, what does that do for his cards? I'm not sure. I guess it really depends on how much he plays of both sides and how well he does on both sides. But
and
like
how they use him,
right? It's something that he, depending how he plays, he could be valued at a premium for position players, or maybe even above a premium for position players, almost to that quarterback level. I don't know. But I think he's someone who at least that potential is there for him to do something special because he doesn't fit the mold. What do you think about that? Do you have any dark horses?
Yeah, I think the dark horse that I have, and probably the person I'm going to prospect on, when the cards start to come out, is Jalen Milroe. I just think that he's probably in a good position. Again, similar to what you were just saying about Jackson Dart, right? He'll be playing a backup, not even a backup role, but he won't be starting this year.
Right. With
And he'll
Darnold.
be behind Sam Darnold. So yeah, and I think probably, I didn't watch him a lot in college, but when I read the professional breakdown of him and what they say about him, it looks like he has all the tools to be successful, and the things that need to be worked on are things that he can learn.
Yeah.
Playing behind somebody else. So
yeah, you can't teach the physicality that he has.
Yeah,
that's a lot of it. What is it? A lot of it because he has the arm strength too. It's like the accuracy, right? That's
it's strength and speed, and really it just comes down to read and getting the ball out of his hand, that he holds it a lot.
Yeah, and if not, he runs like a 4.39 40. So yeah.
So good.
Yep.
All right, so let's jump into listener questions.
All right, we don't have a ton tonight, but we have a few. First is from Scott Z on IG. What's everyone's arm length? Which I'm assuming
What's everyone's what?
Arm length, which I'm assuming is about oh my gosh, the kid who got drafted third or to the Patriots in the first round, 4th overall.
The running back?
Will Campbell. No, the offensive lineman.
Because
everyone made an issue that his arms were like a half-inch short. So, yeah, I'm assuming that's what that question is about.
I hope that wasn't one of the questions we have to answer.
No. I'm saying we have 3. That was just an extra one.
Yeah. Okay. No. I don't know. I could get the tape measure over there.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm 4th round NFL quality or not, or 1st round for early pick NFL quality though.
Yeah, my arms are definitely shorter than Will Campbell's. Okay, next question from upstate_sports_cards on IG. Do you think PSA is keeping SGC open to avoid Sherman antitrust laws? And he said, AKA Monopoly. Thank you for the AKA. I would have had no idea what Sherman antitrust laws are. So,
yeah, I mean, I it's interesting that why wouldn't you keep them open? Well, we talk about it on here, or did I talk about it on my own, that they sent out a letter saying like they're inundated with cards, and that their 5 to 10 day has now turned into 15 to 20 day. I mean, why wouldn't you keep them open if they're that busy? If I had a business here and I bought a competing business over there and they were as busy as my business, why wouldn't I keep them open and keep the revenue coming in?
Right. And also, just because SGC is not making as much money as PSA doesn't mean it's not a successful business too, right? Yeah. So it's
like a shield, right? Yeah. Wouldn't that be almost a shield? I would, in my mind, I think if you were to shut SGC down, PSA would be even more inundated with cards, because where else are they sending them to after that? Beckett,
or if something like happened during COVID, or PSA had to do that shutdown, that's everyone seemingly kind of went to SGC for stuff. So
yeah, and a lot of the I mean, I think SGC too was a lot of their graders over there for vintage. A lot of people send the vintage there. I mean, I know certainly PSA is getting vintage too, but I know if you've got these people on hand in the building, keep them working.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thoughts on the popularity of cards in magnetic holders? I see $1 cards in mags sell on Whatnot for $10. Tom G on Instagram.
Is that our guy, Tom?
That is Tom.
Hey, Tom, good question. It's funny because I bought a case of 250 and he's talking one touches, right? Mags, he's talking
Yep.
one touch.
Yep.
And yeah, anything, any card, $10, $15 over, I put it in the one touch. And I just think it looks more valuable in there. And I think a lot of people do the same thing. Now, what not putting $1 cards in there? I certainly wouldn't put $1 cards in there. But any like I'm just gonna reach behind me now. I mean, here, this is just a downtown, a Kurt Warner downtown. I mean, and I've got it here in the one touch. And it, I think it dresses up the cards so nicely when you're putting it, especially when you're putting it inside your showcase versus leaving it in a top loader and putting it in. I think it draws attraction to the person looking, the potential buyer looking in the case. I think the card just becomes more attractive.
Yeah, so I think when it comes, I agree with everything you said first up, but I think when it comes to whatnot, a lot of those cards that you see selling at that, you have like the sudden death auctions or even just like the 10-second auctions. And it's really just playing on FOMO. And if the card looks nicer, like dressing it up in a one touch, it's just maybe gonna appeal more for that FOMO for people to want to bid more and make that split second decision, not have time to check comps and see what the cards sell for and all that. So yeah, I think that's why you see those guys that are screaming at their $1 cards in a mag.
And if you watch breaks, right? If you pull a big card out of a break, they're like, "Whoa, we got to get it. This isn't a one touch, right?" I mean, they make a big deal about it. So
we're conditioned to believe that.
Yeah, and if your card comes out and they're putting it in a one touch, I mean, you're doing your Mr. Happy dance. You're all excited, like I've hit a big card, right? And now we've got in your mind thinking like if a card's in a one touch, it's a big hit card, and it's
absolutely.
And those mags used to cost like $6 or $7, right? Those one touches. Now getting them for like a $1.40 each, $1.50 each. It's not a lot to dress a card up in your case.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, if you're selling, like, why wouldn't you do it?
If it's working, right?
Yeah, if it's working, why wouldn't you do it? Especially if you care really about the display of it,
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's kind of what I would say for that. Next question. This is a real question. This is a really good question from Scott Z on Instagram. Investor, enthusiast, flipper, collector. What differentiates you each from not being all of the above, and why? You want me to say them again, the four?
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead. What is investor,
enthusiast, flipper, and collector? This is a question we could take a little time on because I think it's a really good one.
Yeah. And what makes us separates us that we're not all of these?
Yeah, from not being all of the above.
What if we feel like we are?
No, I guess you could say why you are.
You could say why you are.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead. I'll let you start.
I think a lot of these, if you were to like Venn diagram them, like, there's a lot of crossover and overlap with a lot of these. But I think first, just going through definitions, tell me if you agree or disagree. Like, investor would be someone who's buying something surely for the idea that it's going to go up in value over time.
Mm-hmm.
An enthusiast is someone, which I think we both are definitely enthusiasts. I mean, we're making content about the hobby. I think an enthusiast, it doesn't have to be anything monetary, like any monetary value. It just has to be pro hobby, probably. I think that's an enthusiast. I don't think that actually has to do anything with buying and selling cards even. A flipper, definitely we all sit into just buying low, selling high as soon as you can. Then a collector is just putting something away just for the sheer enjoyment of it. I would say, for me, if I was to break it down in percentages, I would say I'm like Jeez, my lowest overall would probably be investor. I'm not holding anything long. I'd probably say I'm not an investor. I would say like my highest is definitely I'm a flipper, and then second highest would be enthusiast, and then my third highest would be collector. Just like when it comes to collecting things, I'm not someone who, and I mentioned this a few times, something really has to grab me to want to collect it. Like just with how many cards I see and how many cool cards I see and come throughout my hands, like it has to be something special for me to really want to hold on to it, because I feel like I have accessibility to get like whatever cards I really want, like to a certain extent, you know what I mean? And it's just it's not about the money with it. It's like it would have to be something that really like hits home for me. So like the things that I have that are collected, they're Ted Williams things, and that's like nostalgia to my great grandfather who like introduced me to baseball, which I ended up going and playing through college. I wore number 9 as long as I could because of Ted Williams. So like there's that. I'm a flipper for a few reasons. One, the money. Like let's not sugarcoat it. It's what? Oh my god, right? Like, but also because it allows me to have a side hustle that involves something I'm passionate about, which is sports. So that, which is more important to me than just the money. I like, because like there's so many side hustles that people can do and make money. It doesn't have to just be sports cards. So I enjoy it because it's something I actually love, which is sports, and then doing that. And then Enthusiast, we don't get paid any money to come on here and talking to the screen and get judged and criticized for every word that we say. No payment there. It's all for the love of the hobby. Really.
You can't say that. We've got some great listeners. Sometimes I just mess right up and I say the wrong thing, and people correct me, but they drop a smiley face or something. So I'm I know we're all human. I'm not going to be perfect, but nobody ever tries to beat me up over it, which I certainly appreciate. Yeah. I have to say one thing. It's an enthusiast, right? So it's an interesting word. And there's a guy that comes. The last time I saw him was about a month ago in New Britain, and I know he listens to the podcast, right? And when I met him at I believe in Springfield a couple of years ago, and I'd seen him 2 or 3 times, coming to the shows, and he has no bag, no case, and he comes up and just goes from table to table, and he spends a few minutes at everybody's case, and I know he just observes. And I said to him one day, I said, what do you collect? What are you looking for? What do you collect? And he said, memories. I said, memories? And he said, yeah. He said, I love these cards. He said, but I have no reason to come buy them and bring them home. And he said, but we have so many great card shows. He said, I spend an afternoon. I just love coming up and looking at all the cards and seeing all the cards. And sometimes I'll ask to take one out of the case and just look up a little closer, but the nice auto or the patch or the this or that. And, it's just memories and conversation. I just enjoy doing this. I don't own a card. I would never buy a card, but I love coming to the shows and looking at the cards. And when I heard the word enthusiast, he came to mind.
That's what you thought of. Yeah.
Like I just thought it like someone that just likes to look at the cards. They're not here to make money. They're not here to buy the cards. They're not here to trade or sell anything. They just love the way the cards look. And people go to different types of show, like say a car show, right? I mean, you think about that, like a Tuesday night hot rod show or whatever. I mean, people go, they look at the cars. It's not like they're going to go out and buy one the next day. They just like looking at them. They like to be around, the people who are owning them, and, good conversations and things like that. So, I mean, when I hear the word enthusiast, he is exactly what I thought of.
Yeah. I like that.
Investor for me, short term. Like I have a number of big cards that I hope someday they're going to be worth more, but that's not why I bought them. That wasn't the reason I set out to get those cards. But all the other cards I purchase, if I'm investing, it's more a short term. It's 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and according to my shelf over here, it could be 2 years or 3. Like who knows, right? At any day, some Hendon Hooker could get a starting job, right? And that could be that could pay off. So yeah, definitely short term on that. Definitely a flipper. I don't, and I know people are going to find, they're going to maybe raise some hairs here, but I don't flip as much as most people do. Like I grade a lot of cards. I sell a lot of cards. I try to buy well at shows, but I don't. I used to buy and flip a lot more. And when it, excuse me, when it does happen, I'll talk about it on the podcast. Like, this is a great day. It reminded me of 2 years ago or 3 years ago, where buying and selling and buying and selling. But the hobbyists and the collectors and the people that come to the show are much smarter than ever, right? I mean, it's not as easy as people think, and people make fun of that sometimes. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm buying at 65%. Oh yeah, Big Ken, let's buy it 60% or something." And it's not like I find the percentages to be so small that I don't even engage in it. And I know a lot of times you do, and you'll say, "Hey, if I got 100 of these cards and I can make a buck or two on these cards, I'm going to do it." But I don't engage in that. I'm not trying to buy at such a low percentage so I can hit a home run on every card. But I try to buy a card now that I can sell a few months from now or a few weeks from now, or when it makes sense to sell that. So it's yes, they're flips, but they're not the immediate flip. It's not like I'm buying here and I'm selling it right. It's coming in the left hand and going out the right hand. And a lot of people do that, and it's a great market for them. I understand, but that's not the lane that I'm in. I 100% flip, but probably not as much as most people. And as far as collect, I think, I would go right back to the investment portion of it. Like, I have a lot of great cards that I have. I have no plan right now in my mind. There's no exit plan on those cards to sell those cards. And I have deep PCs on a number of players that I'm absolutely fine with, that this hobby has given me the opportunity to make the money to invest into those, and that just becomes part of who I am.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely. So I kind of want to ask you, because I think maybe I'm not the only one, because clearly you're a collector. Like, you may have like the best Trinity Rodman PC that there is, truthfully. Like, there's no denying that. But even for me, it was interesting to hear, like you say about the flipping thing, because like the basis for your podcast for the longest time was card shows, which is, as a dealer.
And it still is.
Yeah, no,
and more again, of the card
not
shows
coming at you. I just kind of want to talk about it, because it's, even for me, it's interesting to hear that. So like, what do you consider? Do you consider a flip like immediately like going? Like, so like if a flip is like a week or two, right? Like you buy a card at a show and you're not setting up for another week or two, but then you are, and then you go and sell that. Would that be a flip, or would that be
that would be a flip?
Okay. Yeah, no. So like, just the way, because like, and also the percentages thing, I think we should talk about this too, because I think it is important of percentages. So like, for example, you're setting up at a card show. People are walking up. You paid your dues for the table, sure. People are just walking up to you and giving you, not everyone, right? But like, there are definitely opportunities to buy. Like, that's one of the best things about setting up at a show, right? For someone like me, the reason percentages get so important is because oftentimes I'm driving over an hour to get to a place, to someone's home. So I'm going to them, and I'm not only taking, and this isn't just me, this is just like kind of a perspective about like percentages. So what is your time worth to go somewhere? When you get there, value all the cards, whether that's going through and comping and sticky noting, and you know what I mean, and then taking all the stuff that you're really confident will sell, and then a bunch of the stuff that you don't know who would ever want it, let alone burn it, and then try to figure out what do I pay for that rather than the being selected. So I think when it comes to percentages, I think there is a time and a place to be able to pay higher versus lower. Does that make sense? I don't know what you think about it either.
No, 100%, 100%. And I think every situation, and you just said this, you said, you know, the basis of your podcast was being at shows, but there's more at the shows than buying and selling. It used to be like for the longest time, if you go back to probably the first 2 or 3 seasons, we'd go to a show, I'd just get there an hour early, I would set up and I would go shop the whole room.
Yep.
Right. And now it's much harder to do that because people feel the same way I do when you come to my tables, like, you know, I don't know if I really want to sell it to you so you could sell it to the people who are coming to the show today. Right. And that's kind of what started to derail, you know, doing that. And then I got to a point when I got to the shows, I didn't want to buy from people at the show to resell their cards. I mean, that's just not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'll buy from you. I'll buy from other people that I know and say, hey, I would offer this on the card, but I understand if you don't want to take it. Sometimes I think maybe I can sell that card better than you can.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Or maybe I might want to hold that card. I think that card could be worth more in 3 months or 6 months. So there's different, you know, scenarios, you know, for that. But when it comes to percentages to buy, am I buying it for myself? Am I buying it to sell? If a card shows up at my table, I'm like, I want that for me. I will. And anybody who I've done deals with, and you've brought me a card like a Caitlin Clark card or a Trinity Rodman card or a Sophia Smith card or something like that, I've paid strong on it. Like my first offer that's coming out, and I bought cards from you too. My first offer that comes out is strong because I don't want to negotiate with you and I want the card.
Yeah.
Right? I just want to take the card. I'll pay for it because I want to keep it for myself. But then if you show up with a CJ Stroud or you know, or something like that, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know, I'm going to resell the card, and I'll be completely honest with you. I'll look at the card. I'll look at the comps. I'll say, look, the card's $100 card, right? If someone comes to my table, they're going to offer me $80. They're going to offer me 70 and pay me $80 or $85 for the card. So if you want me to buy the card, this is really what I need to get it for. And then a lot of times I don't get that deal done, you know, and I'm just being honest, and I don't want to be embarrassed saying like, I have to offer you 70% on that. I have to offer you $70 on that card. So I can agree to sell it for 80 or something like that, you know? And if you don't want to, and you know, you hear me talk, I'm like, I'm good with that. I'm fine. I don't want that meet me in the middle at 75.
Right.
Because now it's not worth it. I don't want to risk everything for $5. You know?
Yeah, and it's funny too, because also like there's so many perspectives to flipping, because like there's a reason someone's selling the card too. Like I think that's important to understand. It's like I don't think there's always clear-cut percentages. You know, there's sometimes where people need money, right?
Yeah.
For whatever it is, for real life things. And they have to fire sell things. Okay. Like, and I don't, it's really tough ethically too. Like, so for example, I'll just like little glimpse into me and what I do a little more than I typically would like to share. There are times ethically where I'm like, someone's begging me to buy something, even though I know it's a good deal. I know how much work it's going to go in to like sell it. And I don't even know if I have the capacity and plate to put it on. But then I feel like bad that I'm like, it's not like I'm trying to lowball them extra. It's like, I really don't want to buy this collection, even though it's worth, it's a great deal. Right. And it's just like, for me to sometimes for like a buyer who's who's buying out a collection like this, it's just, you got to take into account all the perspectives. I don't know if that's really making sense or not, but it's just like,
no, but I know it's a lot of work. I know it's a lot of work because I've kind of steered away from that. You know, you show up and there's those 4 or 5 cards you really want, but they're coming along with these other 30 cards that are all the work, right? So then you're like, well, I'd rather just cherry pick. Yeah, there you go. I'd rather
I have 3 more boxes like that over here that like,
yeah. I'd rather cherry pick the 4 or 5 cards and just make a deal for that. And you could figure out what to do with that. But then if it has to be a deal, then I'm still going to offer you probably the same amount I was going to offer you on the cards, and then take the other cards, because now my time is money, because I've got to put the work into trying to sell that. And I'm going through that a lot now on my own collection. You know, like I have hockey. I pulled out a thing of hockey cards. All week I've been sitting here pricing out these hockey cards to sell at Causeway this weekend. It's not an easy job. And I think to myself, oh man, what I get myself into over here. And if I were to buy these from somebody else, I don't know if I think I would just take the box and put them back on the shelf and save them for another day.
And that's what we call an enthusiast. Yeah, no. So I just think it's important, like when it comes, there's never like a true percentage on things. I mean, certainly there has to be a percentage sometimes if your exit strategy on a card is at a certain percentage, right? Because I think when that's the case, for example, if you know when you're going to be able to confidently sell a card for 90%, what's that percentage of that card's value that you're going to want to acquire that at? Some people are, I think it's crazy, just because some people are on these razor thin, like 3 to 5% margins, that I'm just like, with how volatile the market is, it's just like, I couldn't, you know what I mean? I feel like for me, and maybe it's my downfall, maybe I'm missing all these transactions, I don't know, but it's just like paying, if I was to pay 87% to sell at 90%, and then hope an auction doesn't happen in the day or two I have the card, with how frequently all these cards sell, I feel like that's a lot of risk. No? Like,
and we use these numbers, right? We sit there 87, 86, 77, 78. I will tell you, every show is different. Every single person that walks up to the table, I buy and sell at a different percentage. I never sit there and say I have to be at 85% or I have to be at 89%, because every card I acquired differently. So I know what room I have on it. Sometimes you break even. Sometimes I need to lose a few bucks on it. Sometimes I make a few. Sometimes, you hit a home run on a card. I mean, it's never the same. And one of the things I love about going to shows, especially Causeway, is that there's so many people that show up to sell at that show, right? And so many people show up to buy at that show, that you're making deals all day long. And if you ask me, I would say I never sold and bought at the same percentage all day long, because it just has to do with the card, has to do with the market that card could be in. If it's a liquid card, if it's not, if it's a PC card. I mean, there's so many different variables that go into it. And if I was to sit here, and if you were to sit here and say, I paid 85%, I sell it 92%. If you do that you really stick to your business plan.
It's a lot of regulation for an unregulated market, right?
Yeah. But for me, it is all over the place.
And I think I agree with you. And I think one more factor into that, and I really think it's the most important factor, is, and it goes to the art of the negotiation. I really think it comes down to, we can talk about percentages, we can talk about all this, but at the end of the day, as simple as it is, it comes down to 2 people agreeing on a price.
Yeah.
It's people, right? And the people who do well have very good people skills, I think. Regardless if it's like you at a show or it's me doing what I do. or Tyler being a whiz on beep boop online, like how he is. It's unbelievable with his spreadsheets and all that. Crazy. But like there's so many different styles that works differently. So I think it's just like finding what works for you.
Yep.
And yeah, speaking of these low end cards, you know what's something I keep going back and forth with is, do I just like go on Whatnot and try to like run some auctions? Like nothing crazy. I'm not going to be sitting there doing like some crazy repack or anything like that. But like
you're not gonna bring out the samurai sword and start cutting things in half. Half off. Or the guy with the fireplace.
When you said that, I just thought of Step Brothers. You want to do karate in the basement? I mean, in the garage?
He said, if you don't buy this card from me, I'm burning it. I'm throwing it in the fireplace. Nobody bids. It's getting burnt.
It's a way to bring viewers to the podcast. I guess, I could just be outlandish on Whatnot. But
and I can tell you too, one of the things I've done this year with with a lot of those singles cards, with all the rookies, like so many of those cards, I've just set up a 5-row box, and I just keep top loading them and just dropping them in the box. And the reason I'm doing this, because I'm thinking next year, if this draft class is so weak that people may be going back to try to buy these guys from the previous year. So it may come September, October, November, it may be a good time to be selling these singles, or, even a little earlier, and let people try to grade them or do whatever with them. Because a lot of these cards I probably would have graded, but now the way the grading is what's going on with grading, I'm being more of a minimalist of what I'm sending, for grading, that, that's going to be better for me to sell.
Ken, I was talking to our friend Zwiddlebug today, and I want to tell you again, more free game for PC sports cards. Listen to this time frame. This is value bulk. You're gonna vomit. Okay. I had an order go into research and ID on April 24th. Okay. On May 1st. It was in QA2.
Well, what's funny is
that's a week. Okay, that is a week for anyone listening. That is a week that it went from being put in the system to basically it's all graded, and it's probably going to be back to me within a week or two.
So within a few days, mine went to my order that I sent to them went to research and ID. Yours went to the 24th, which is a Thursday, and mine went on the 29th, which was a Tuesday, where it went to research and ID, and it's still there.
Oh, and this is an outlier. I also have 11 other grading orders that are in research and ID, but I just figured I'd tell you, like, that's
but it's got to research and ID faster than me. I'm sending it by myself.
Yeah, for sure. So
and it's not like they're doing anything, right? I'm doing all the work I did before, except I'm shipping it to them
rather than straight
to drive over and drop them off at PSA in New Jersey than it is me shipping it to California.
Yeah.
Right? So,
and then getting returned because they don't like how you package it.
and then last week they said I had my first upcharge. My first upcharge from PSA, they sent an email, and I was so excited. I responded in like a minute. They told me they had to charge me more because my Caitlin Clark auto gem got a 10.
Was the draft picks?
The Prism draft picks got a 10. So I immediately responded back, yes, I accept the, and they're like, okay, great. We'll get that right out to you. Yeah, it's still sitting. It's still sitting there. It says complete, but it's not even showing me the grades. It's still showing me the cards there. So now every day I'm clicking on it because I sent those in on a 15-day or a 10-day, whatever it was, and it's it's been like 6 weeks that those cards have been sitting there. So I'm a little annoyed.
All right. So before we log off, I want to mention Ken is in the league. Tyler's in the league. We have 5 more spots for a Dynasty Superflex tight end premium league. We're doing a 10-man league. If you have interest, message me at M&TCards on Instagram. I'll give you more details there. All that we ask is that you are, kind of crazy about fantasy football, like everyone in the league is, and that you're attentive, because a dynasty league is something that is not a 1-year commitment. For anyone who doesn't know, dynasties, you do a startup draft of all the players, and then you keep every single player, and then going forward, you only draft rookies. And you could trade draft picks and all sort of things like that, but it's a full keeper league going forward. So if that's something you have interest in, shoot me a message at M&TCards on Instagram, and can get you in there.
Yeah, we'll get you in.
On Sleeper, the best platform for fantasy football.
If you're my age, you hate Sleeper. Just give me Yahoo.
We'll do that for the redraft leagues later on for the hobby. You could be Big Ken the commish. Yahoo.
We'll do it at Yahoo.
At Yahoo, yep. I even have a Yahoo email I'll use for it.
There you go. All right. Anything else before we
No, that's it.
All right. Another great episode.
Yep.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. And I will be back. Well, if you're at the Causeway Show Saturday, you come find Zip and I, and I'm at table C5 and C6 at Causeway Show, but I'll be back Sunday with a recap of that show. Zip, have a good night.
You too.